Welcome to the Man That Can Project podcast. I'm your host, Lockie Stewart, and I am excited to jump on here today. It's Thursday. We're doing our weekly Thursday short, sharp power episode, and I'm going to be talking about why I believe us as blokes can be, do, and have whatever the fuck we want, and the reasons why or how the power of community and the power of mateship can really amplify and speed up that process. Last night, I was fortunate to speak at an Are You OK fundraiser where I met a lot of incredible people. And in the lead up to that, I wasn't really sure how much time I had to speak or what specifically, I had to, or what message I really had to deliver. So I'm doing what I did best because I've been under the pump with our 3-day masterclass, which was a huge success. And thanks for everyone who jumped in. I really struggled to think about what I wanted to talk about. I think it's very easy to talk about a lot of stuff that can potentially inspire people or educate people. But, I spent maybe 4 hours yesterday trying a few different speeches, recording myself, listening back and be like, nah, not really happy with that message. So I took a 20-minute nap laying on some tiles of all things. Uncomfortable bloody things, that's for sure. But throughout that little snooze, I was just like, why don't I just talk about what led me to founding the Man That Can Project and the reason behind its success? And I think the message in that in itself will really speak to Are You OK Day and the power of communication, the power of getting clear on who you are as a man and what you want from your life and how you can really learn what it is actually like to be successful in those areas. And for me, for those who, depending on when you've tuned into the podcast, I believe I did what a lot of Australian blokes do, right? Or Australian boys do, where you grow up I grew up idolizing sports stars. And all I ever wanted was to be a professional athlete. And, throughout that point, when you achieve success, from my experience, at an early age, I won state titles, placed at nationals, did all this sort of stuff. I gained more attention from females. I got special treatment for various things and I got recognized for it. And when you don't get taught about that, when you don't get taught how to handle that, naturally you abuse it, right? It's just like for a lot of us, when we first start drinking alcohol and we haven't learned about the downsides to it, we abuse it, right? We really don't utilize it responsibly. And much like people who achieve fame and success or power, they abuse it. That's, it takes a very special person, in my opinion, who really knows how to manage it and utilize it for good. So going through that process, I did that, and obviously abusing what came with that led me to lying, manipulating, and cheating. And I found myself one day just thinking about how disgusting I was as an individual. And I thought to myself, look, I'm, not doing what I thought I would be doing at this point in my life. I believe I am so much better than the way that I'm acting or the way that I'm thinking, acting, and behaving actually. And it's funny how that sort of conversation with myself led to me making a decision. And that decision then, led to things falling into place. It's funny that you make a decision and generally back it up by what you're open to seeing, the actions that you take, who you network with, various things like that. But I was then given a book. I read the book. I was stoked that I read the book for a number of reasons. One, I finished a real book. Two, it changed the way I started thinking about things. I realized, I just learned something from that book. I learned things that changed, or not changed at that point, but they challenged how I thought about myself. They challenged what I thought I was capable of. And that excited me. I became so excited about what could be possible for my life if I continued to find books like this, if I continued to have conversations with people. And this was before podcasting was really a big thing, but started delving into audio books and various things like that. And I just became hungry to find this information. And naturally, when you get excited about something, gents, you want to share it. And I started sharing it on social media, sharing things that I was learning. I started sharing my experiences and how I overcame challenges, how I shifted perspective, how I built confidence, changed my mindset, and various things like that. And over time, I started to have people reach out asking for help when this is crazy. And so not always help, but just asking for my opinion or advice. And it's funny when you go from a guy who was completely broken and at a point what that I would call rock bottom to then being in a position where people are actually asking for your opinion. Wild and such a cool thing. But the cool thing about having had that experience earlier where I had the recognition, I had everything and I'd abused it, was now that I was in a different mindset and I realized that with power comes responsibility. And I don't want to say I have power now, I definitely don't, but I guess with influence comes responsibility. And I am grateful that this time around I've been better. I've been more mindful of how what I say can impact other people. And obviously, I'm not perfect and I'm not going to change the way I speak things. I'm just open to having progressive conversations and conversations where I'm definitely open to be challenged and having my opinions and maybe even the way I articulate myself changed. But, for the most part, actually for every part, that's why I swear and I still speak the way I do, because this is who I am. And I don't feel the need to change from that. But after a while, I was having a lot of conversations with mainly females about their partners, but then obviously more and more men started feeling confident to have conversations with me. And it led to that message that I always speak about, where I was in Austria and someone emailed me or dropped into my inbox on Instagram. I just had a mental blank there. On Instagram, and they asked myself, what would I have done differently if I went back to 2014 when I really began this journey, or even prior? And it got me thinking, and it really launched the Man That Can project. It really did. Because for me, I wanted to have access to successful blokes from all walks of life. And I have my own definition of what success is. And I think you guys should have your own definition as well. And you should strive for that. But I wanted to be able to have you're breaking it down into the 8 areas. I wanted to have conversations with people who were successful with their health, were successful in their relationships, were successful financially, were successful with leadership, with communication, all these things. And not just because they were successful at it. I wanted to know that they got to where they got to, but I really wanted them to be open to sharing what it took to get there. Because we can jump on Google, you can listen to podcasts. Actually, I think podcasts is a bit of a different platform. You can watch videos or how-tos, okay? And I think they're incredible because it gives you the logic behind it, the step-by-step process that if you do, you're going to have a much higher improved chance of achieving the outcome that you're looking to get. But what is missing, which I think we can get through podcasts, which I think we can get through doing, is the emotional challenges that pop up, the limiting beliefs that we may experience, like, I'll never be able to learn that. Good things never happen to me. Why do I keep getting super anxious when I step into something new? And it's then learning, how can we navigate that? So I wanted to have conversations with blokes who are like that. Man, you had a kid, right? And could be to a new dad. Tell me what that was like. Don't just tell me how fucking awesome your kid is. Tell me what it was like for you seeing your wife now give more attention to the child than she does you. How do you feel? How did that make you feel? Do you still feel significant? Do you still feel important? Or do you feel like you're in the back seat now? And I think these conversations are so important because at some point, we're going to experience a lot of these things that many of us have experienced before, or maybe similar things that we can draw upon, lessons and feelings and experiences into our own life. And I love reading autobiographies. I love listening to podcasts because when I hear people's life stories or challenges that they have overcome, I then can, know if similar things pop up in my life. It may trigger a memory where I go, oh, Matty McConaughey in Green Lights went through something like this. This is what he said about it. It's a great book for anyone who hasn't read that book. But that's what I love, because rather than me having to feel like I'm the only one who's experienced it and felt it, I want to know that there obviously are other people out there, because there definitely are. And I would love to have the shortcut to navigating through it. Obviously, I am still going to go through the experience. Have to. There's going to be other learnings that come from it. But at least if I can have a few ideas and perspectives to pinball off, then it's going to be game changing. And that's what led me to launching the first men's circle here in Brisbane with the Man That Can project. And ever since then, it's just been a ripple effect. You know, we've got so many incredible men a part of this community, and also incredible people in general that support the Man That Can project, that listen to this podcast, that share the podcast, that attend our events, or are part of our programs. And I'm super grateful for all of you, because, you know, I'm in a position where I get to do what I love for a living, but I also get to hang out and meet and have conversations with so many incredible people like you guys listening, who are experts in something that I'm not, that enhances and enriches my life as much as I hope it, you know, is reciprocal, and it enhances and enriches your lives for those who are listening. So I just kicked the table. That's why the YouTube video is vibrating. And you know, it's put me in a very, very fortunate position, right? Because as I mentioned, there, with influence comes responsibility. And, you know, when I was reading the mental health statistics here in Australia around, obviously 6 out of 8 suicides daily are men. And obviously that's a statistic there, but they've been linked to, you know, 3.5 times more likely that it's come from relationship breakdown, 5 times more likely to be linked to a trouble at work or losing a job, and 12 times more likely to be linked to financial hardship. So they're just a few. There's plenty more out there that you can read. And if you go to the Australian Men's Health Forum, you can read some statistics there that are pretty shocking. But knowing that, it then made me go, okay, well, we need to be having conversations about money and finances. You know, it is uncomfortable to talk about money, especially when you don't have any. You don't understand it. Just like anything, if you don't have it or you don't understand it, it's really uncomfortable, because you may feel like you're dumb, or you're uneducated, or not good enough, whatever goes through your head. And I've experienced a lot of this as well, and I still do. But then also relationships, like relationships is something huge that we continue to discuss within our community, and really get them into prioritize their relationships. How can you make it better? How can you keep the passion and the love and the excitement in it? And how can you also understand your emotions throughout it? If you're experiencing, you know, jealousy or anger or sadness, how can you start to understand where that's coming from, or what's causing that within your relationship? And because that's ultimately going to improve your relationship. So we do these things, and obviously, what was the other one? Losing jobs. It's like, well, my goal as well is to empower people to see that you guys can do or be doing, have whatever you want. So you might start a podcast, or you might find other ways, like the episode last week, 337, where we're talking about how to increase your income. You can look at side hustles. You can turn your areas of expertise into a product, into a service. And I think because we talk about that, and we have so many business owners and also so many incredible people who are employed, we get to have those conversations where we can work out what's missing for those blokes. And I believe wholeheartedly, because we're having those conversations, we're better prepping men out there for if they do go through that. Because it's not saying you're going to be, you know, that's never going to happen to you. It will. That's life. Shit happens. But when you are continuing to grow in those areas, you're gaining awareness, perspective, and have a great support network around you. You know, you're going to be able to, like I said, we were saying earlier, you're going to be able to navigate through the tough times much easier than if you hadn't been putting in the work. So I got to share a bit of that story last night to 300 or so people. And it was awesome, you know, taking some time to actually realize how bloody brilliant this Man That Can project community is. And then also just to think about how far my own journey has been. And I hope that it inspires some of you guys out there who are wanting to, you know, you feel like you have that pit inside you where there's something that's unfulfilled, and you believe you truly can do more, because you might not know what that is yet. But if you've got that feeling, it's time to be curious, right? And act upon your curiosity in terms of exploring, learning about different things, or attending different workshops, or hanging out with different people, having different adventures, until you can really start pinpointing things down to this may be the area that I want to go into. And it's pretty fucking cool. Like just even this podcast, right? Like for me, it's something that I don't actually monetize yet. Even though I do get asked to have ads on it, I just don't want to put ads on. Just because, well, to be fair, because I couldn't be bothered doing an ad unless it's for my own programs, which of course I forgot. Obviously we got the Strong Men of Value, but to be fair, guys, I don't even want to plug it this week. But if you want to look at the Strong Men of Value program, it's available for men all around the world at any time. Go check it out. But I'm having a deload week for a few weeks. We've just had a busy time with the talk last night. I'm heading up to Dysart on Tuesday to deliver a workshop up there. And then we had the 3-day masterclass the last 3 days. So I'm going to just take some time for myself. I'm going to continue to work with my clients and the Strong Men of Value community. But for myself, I'm going to dive into a few books, spend a bit of time at the beach, and just really enjoy the lifestyle that I have created for myself. Because one thing that, you know, is obviously important as we go through the ebbs, the peaks and valleys of life, is to just be doing more of what you decided you wanted to do. And we all have an idea of what that looks like. I think it's important that we do take time, because life gets busy and it's very easy to get consumed in certain things. But if you don't take your head up for a breath every now and then, you can find yourself 10 years down the track in a place that maybe you don't want to be or you aren't happy in. So that's enough for me, gents. I look forward to dropping Monday's episode. It's going to be a fucking belter of an episode. And once again, if you got value from this, please share it on your socials and tag me. Leave a review. I love it when I get some new reviews on the podcast. And just keep having an awesome time, gents. And for those who were a part of that 3-day masterclass, I know you guys got so much value from it. And I'll probably do another free one in 12 months' time. But until then, just keep tuning into the podcast and living the fucking dream, gentlemen. Take care, and we'll chat to you soon.